Hello everyone, it's me Arjan. Today I am going to read S4 4090 Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Chapter 1, Huck in Trouble. You don't know about me if you haven't read a book called The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Mr. Mark Twain wrote the book and most of it is true. In that book, robbers stole some money and hid it in a very secret place in the woods. But Tom Sawyer and I found it. And after that, we were rich. We got $6,000 each, all gold. In those days, I never had a home or went to school like Tom and all the other boys in St. Petersburg. Pop was always drunk and he moved around a lot, so he wasn't a very good father. But it didn't matter to me. I slept in the street or in the woods, and I could do what I wanted when I wanted. It was a fine life. When we got all that money, Tom and I were famous for a while. Judge Thatcher, who was an important man in our town, kept my money in the bank for me. And the widow Douglas took me to live in her house and said I could be her son. It was very nice and kind, but it was a hard life because I had to wear new clothes and be good all the time. In the end, I put on my old clothes and ran away. But Tom came after me and said that I had to go back, but that I could be in his gang of robbers. So I went back, and the widow cried, and I had to put on those new clothes again. I didn't like it at all. Her sister, Miss Watson, lived there too. She was always saying, "Don't put your feet there, Huckleberry. Don't do that, Huckleberry." It was terrible. When I went up to bed that night, I sat down in a chair by the window. I sat there a good long time, and I was really unhappy. But just after midnight, I heard meow, meow outside. Very softly, I answered. Meow, meow, quietly. I put out the light and got out through the window in the trees. Tom Sawyer was waiting for me. We went through the trees to the end of the widow's garden. Soon we were on top of a hill on the other side of the house. Below us, we could see the river and the town. One or two lights were still on, but everything was quiet. We went down the hill and found Joe Harper, Ben Rogers, and 2 or 3 more of the boys. Then Tom took us down the river by boat to his secret place, which was a cave deep in the side of a hill. When we got there, Tom told us all his plan. "Now we'll have this gang of robbers," he said, "and we'll call it Tom Sawyer's Gang. If somebody hurts one of us, the others will kill him and his family. If a boy from the gang tells other people our secret, we will kill him and his family too." We all thought this was wonderful, and we wrote our names in blood from our fingers. Then Ben Rogers said, "Now, what's the gang going to do?" "Nothing. Just rob and kill. We stop people on the road and we kill them and take their money and things. But we can keep a few of the people, and then their friends can pay money to get them back. That's what they do in the stories and books." But Ben wasn't happy. "What about women?" he asked. "Do we kill them too?" "Oh, no." Tom answered, "We are very nice to them, and they all love us, and they don't want to go home." "Then the cave will be full of women and people waiting. We'll have to watch them all night." "We'll all go home now," Tom said, "and we'll meet next week, and we'll kill somebody and rob somebody." Bet wanted to begin on Sunday, but the others said no. It was bad to kill and rob on a Sunday. My clothes were very dirty and I was very tired when I got back. Of course, the next morning, Miss Watson was angry with me because of my dirty clothes, but the widow just looked unhappy. Soon after that, we stopped playing robbers because we never robbed people and we never killed them. Time went on and winter came. I went to school most of the time, and I was learning to read and write a little. It wasn't too bad, and the widow was pleased with me. Miss Watson had a slave, an old man called Jim, and he and I were good friends. I often sat talking to Jim, but I still didn't like living in a house and sleeping in a bed. Then one morning, there was some new snow on the ground, and outside the back garden, I could see footprints in the snow. I went out to look at them more carefully. They were Pop's footprints. A minute later, I was running down the hill to Judge Thatcher's house. When he opened the door, I cried, "Sir, I want you to take all my money. I want to give it to you." He looked surprised. "Why? What's the matter? Please, sir, take it. Don't ask me why." In the end, he said, "Well, you can sell it to me then." And he gave me $1, and I wrote my name on a piece of paper for him. That night, when I went up to my room, Pop was just sitting there waiting for me. I saw that the window was open, so that was how he got in. He was almost 50, and he looked old. His hair was long and dirty. His face was a terrible white color. His clothes were old and dirty too, and two of his toes were coming through his shoe. He looked at me all over for a long time, and then he said, "Well, just look at those clean, tidy clothes, and they say you can read and write now. Who said you could go to school?" "The widow," I began. "Oh, she did she? Well, you can't forget about school. I can read, and your mother couldn't read. No one in our family could read before they died. So who do you think you are? Go on, take that book and read to me." I began to read, but he hit the book, and it flew out of my hand across the room. Then he shouted, "They say you're rich. How's that?" "It isn't true." "You give me that money. I want it. Get it for me tomorrow." "I haven't got any money." "Ask Judge Thatcher. He'll tell you." "I haven't got any money." "Well, give me what you've got in your pocket now. Come on, give it to me." I've only got $1. I wanted to give it to me. Do you hear?" He took it, and then he said he was going out to get a drink. When he was outside the window, he put his head back in and shouted, "And stop going to that school, or you know what you will get." The next day, he was drunk. He went to Judge Thatcher to get my money. The judge wouldn't give it to him, but Pop didn't stop trying. Every few days, I got $2 or $3 from the judge to stop Pop from hitting me. But when Pop had money, he got drunk again, made trouble in town. He was always coming to the widow's house. She got angry and told him to stay away. Then Pop got really angry, and one day he caught me and took me a long way up the river in a boat. I had to stay with him in a hut in the woods. I couldn't go out by myself. He watched me all the time. The widow sent the man to find me and bring me home, but Pop went after him with a gun, and the man ran away. Chapter 2. Huck escapes and finds a friend. Mostly it was a lazy, comfortable kind of life, but after about 2 months, Pop began to hit me too much with his stick. He often went away into town too. Then he always locked me in the hut. Once he was away for 3 days. I thought I was never going to get out again. When he came back that time, he was drunk and angry. He wanted my money, but Judge Thatcher wouldn't give it to him. The judge wanted to send me to live with the widow again. Pop told me I wasn't pleased about that. I didn't want to go back there. So I decided to escape and go down the river and live in the woods somewhere. When Pop was out, I began to cut a hole in the wooden wall of the hut. In a few days, when the hole was bigger, I could take the wood out, escape through the hole, and put the wood back. One morning, Pop sent me down to the river to catch some fish for breakfast. To my surprise, there was a canoe in the water. There was no one in it. Immediately, I jumped into the river and brought the canoe to the side. I was lucky that Pop didn't see me. I decided to hide the canoe under some trees and use it when I escaped. That afternoon, Pop locked me in and went off to town. He won't be back tonight, I thought, so I began to work hard at my hole. Soon I could get out through it, and I carried food and drink and Pop's gun down to the canoe. Then I put back the wood to hide the hole, took the gun, and went into the woods. Then I shot a wild pig and took it back to the hut with me. Next, I broke down the door with an axe. I carried the pig into the hut and put some of its blood on the ground. Then I put some big stones in a sack and pulled it along behind me to the river. Last of all, I put some blood and some of my hair on the axe. I left the axe in a corner of the hut. I took the pig down to the river. They won't know it's only a pig in the river, I said to myself. They will think it's me. And I took the canoe and went down the river to Jackson's Island. By then it was nearly dark, so I hid the canoe under some trees and went to sleep. It was after 8 o'clock when I woke up the next day, and the sun was high in the sky. I was warm and comfortable. I didn't want to get up. Suddenly I heard a noise up the river. Carefully, I looked through the trees, and I saw a boat full of people. There was Pa, Judge Thatcher, Tom Sawyer, and his Aunt Polly, and his brother Sid, and lots of others. They were looking for my body in the river. I watched them, but they didn't see me. And in the end, they went away. I knew that nobody was going to come and look for me again. I found a good place under the trees to sleep and to put my things. Then I caught a fish and cooked it over a fire. I lived like that for 3 days, and I decided to have a look around the island. So I went into the woods. This is my island, I thought. I'm the only person on it. Suddenly, just in front of me, I saw a fire. It was still smoking. There was somebody on my island. I didn't wait. I turned and went straight back, but I couldn't sleep. After a time, I said to myself, I can't live like this. I must find out who it is. Suddenly, silently, I moved along the river in my canoe under the darkness of the trees, and then I stopped. Through the trees, I could see the light of a fire. Afraid, I left my canoe, went nearer. There was a man lying by the fire. Suddenly, he sat up, and I saw that it was Jim, Miss Watson's slave. I was really happy to see him. Hello, Jim, I cried, and I jumped out from behind the tree. Jim fell to his knees. Please don't hurt me, he cried. I've always been good to dead people. It's all right, Jim. I'm not dead, I said. But why are you here on the island? I asked. Well, Huck, old Miss Watson wanted to sell me. A man came into town and told Miss Watson that he would buy me for $800. She couldn't say no, so I ran away. I ran down to the river to hide, but everybody in the town was there. They said you were dead. Huh? I had to wait all day to get away. When it was dark, I got onto a big boat and hid. When we came near the island, I jumped into the water and swam here. Jim finishes his story, and then we both carried all our things into a cave and hid the canoe under some trees. We were just in time, because then the rains came. It rained for days, and the river got higher and higher. All kinds of things came down the river, and one night there was a little wooden house lying half on its side. We got the canoe out and went to take a look. Through the window we could see a bed, 2 old chairs, and some old clothes. There was something lying in the corner. We thought it looked like a man. Jim went in to see. But he said he's dead. Someone shot him in the back. Don't look at his face, Huck. It's terrible. I didn't want to see the dead man's face, so I didn't look. We just took the old clothes and a few other things, went back to our cave on the island. Another night, when we were out looking for things on the river, we found a raft. It was made of a good strong wood and was about 4 meters by 5 meters. This could be useful, I said to Jim, so we pulled it back to the island behind the canoe and tied it up under the trees. The end.